Dear listeners, a new day and a new story to discuss. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that interests me. Listen and write down what you think about this situation. I'm interested in your opinions. Hey, welcome back to another episode on our space, where life's twists are as unexpected as the advice from a roadside fortune teller. So, strap in. Today's tale spirals from Hannah's curious venture into Pandora's bedroom to the discovery of true treasure in a monogamous cave. The journey began on a note as ordinary as any other Thursday evening. Hannah and I were nestled on our worn-out couch, the glow of the TV casting shadows across the living room. Our hands found each other's in the dim light, a silent testament to the years we'd spent together. "Hannah, remember when we used to talk till dawn about everything and nothing?" I mused, squeezing her hand gently. She chuckled, a sound that still warmed my heart after all these years. How could I forget? Those were the days, huh? But Jason, don't you ever miss the excitement? Her question hung in the air, a loaded gun waiting to go off. I knew exactly what she meant. Our life had settled into a comfortable routine, predictable to the point of being mundane. Yet, the thought of shaking things up filled me with a deep unease. Excitement is overrated, Hannah. I'm happy with our life, with you, I replied, hoping to reassure both her and myself. But Hannah wasn't convinced. Leaning closer, her eyes sparkled with a mix of challenge and mischief. But what if we could have more, Jason? What if we're missing out on something extraordinary? I could hear the earnestness in her voice, see the longing for something different in her gaze. It was a crossroads moment, and little did I know, my next words would set us down a path that would change everything. Like what, Hannah? What are we missing? I asked, my curiosity piqued despite my reservations. She sat up, turning to face me fully. Think about it, Jason. There's a whole world of experiences we've never explored. Remember those stories from our friend Mark about open relationships? My heart skipped a beat. Open relationships? Hannah, are you serious? Yes, Jason. Imagine the freedom, the excitement. We love each other, right? Why not explore together, expand our horizons? The idea was terrifying and thrilling all at once. The trust between us had always been our foundation, unshakable and secure. Yet, here we were, contemplating stepping into a realm that could either reinforce our bond or shatter it entirely. Hannah, I don't know, I stammered, struggling to process the whirlwind of emotions her suggestion had stirred. She took my hand again, her touch gentle but firm. Jason, I love you. This isn't about us lacking something. It's about us growing together. We set our rules, our boundaries. We explore, but we always come back to each other. Isn't that worth considering? Her words, so full of hope and conviction, tugged at me. The part of me that craved stability was at war with the part that longed to fulfill every desire she harbored. How could I deny her this? How could I deny us the chance to discover depths of our relationship we'd never known? Okay, Hannah, I finally said, the words barely a whisper. Let's talk about it. Really talk. If we're going to do this, we need to be sure it's right for both of us. Her smile in response was radiant, like the dawn breaking after a long, dark night. Thank you, Jason. That's all I'm asking. Let's explore this idea together, with open hearts and minds. And so, we did. That night marked the beginning of our journey into the unknown, a decision that would lead us through moments of exhilarating highs and heart-wrenching lows. Little did we know, the treasure we sought in our explorations wasn't in the adventures themselves, but in the understanding and acceptance we'd find in the most unexpected of caves, our own hearts. As I lay in bed that night, Hannah's steady breathing a comforting rhythm beside me, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held. The excitement of the unknown mingled with a tinge of fear, a potent cocktail that promised to either bind us closer together or tear us apart at the seams. Are we doing the right thing, Hannah? I whispered into the darkness, more to myself than to her. We're doing our thing, Jason, she murmured back, her voice heavy with sleep. No matter what happens, that has to count for something. And with those words, I drifted off to sleep, the journey ahead a mystery, our destination unknown. But for the first time in a long while, I felt alive with the possibilities that lay before us, ready to face them together, come what may. The morning sun crept through the curtains, casting a warm glow over the room. It was a new day, but the conversation from the night before weighed heavily on my mind. Hannah and I had opened Pandora's box, and there was no going back. As I brewed coffee in the kitchen, Hannah joined me, her presence a comforting constant in the whirlwind of emotions I was experiencing. Good morning, Jason. You okay? Hannah's voice was soft, laced with concern. I forced a smile, handing her a mug of coffee. Yeah, just thinking about everything. It's a lot to take in, you know. She nodded, wrapping her hands around the warm mug. I know it is, but remember, we're in this together. Whatever we decide, it's us against the world. Her words were meant to reassure, but they only served to highlight the magnitude of the decision we were contemplating. Opening our marriage was like stepping off a cliff into the unknown. The thrill of the fall was intoxicating, but the landing was anything but guaranteed. Have you thought more about how we'd actually do this? Open our relationship, I mean. I ventured, seeking clarity amidst the chaos. Hannah took a sip of her coffee, her eyes meeting mine. I have. I think we start slow. Maybe visit some clubs, meet people who are in the lifestyle. We don't have to do anything we're not comfortable with. The idea of venturing into such uncharted territory both excited and terrified me. Clubs? Huh? And what? Just walk up to people and say, "Hi, we're Jason and Hannah, and we're looking to spice up our marriage." Hannah laughed, a sound that momentarily lifted the heaviness in my heart. Something like that. But Jason, we're not alone in this. There are communities, people who understand and can guide us. We just have to be open and honest with each other, above all else. The day passed in a blur, and before I knew it, we were standing outside a nondescript building in the heart of the city. The neon sign flickered above the door, Paradise Found. My heart raced as Hannah squeezed my hand, a silent signal of solidarity. Ready to take the plunge? She asked, her voice a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. I took a deep breath, the door before us symbolizing the threshold to a new chapter in our lives. Together, I affirmed, and we stepped into the club. The atmosphere inside was electric, pulsating with energy and possibility. Couples and singles mingled, their conversations a blend of laughter and whispered promises. Hannah and I were greeted by Mark, our friend who had first planted the seed of exploration in our minds. "Jason, Hannah, you made it. Welcome to the beginning of your adventure," Mark exclaimed, clapping me on the back. Hannah smiled, her confidence buoying my spirits. "Thanks, Mark. We're here to explore, see what this is all about." Mark led us through the club, introducing us to the lifestyle and its participants. Each introduction, each conversation peeled back the layers of my apprehension, revealing a world of openness and exploration I had never imagined. As the night wore on, Hannah and I found ourselves alone, our eyes locked in silent conversation. The noise and laughter around us faded into the background as we navigated the tumultuous sea of our emotions. "Jason, how are you feeling about all this?" Hannah's voice was a lifeline, pulling me back from the edge of overwhelming uncertainty. I searched her eyes, finding there the same mix of fear and fascination that mirrored my own. "I'm scared, Hannah. But with you, I feel like we can face anything. It's a leap of faith, but I'm ready if you are." Hannah's response was immediate, her embrace enveloping me in warmth and assurance. "I am, Jason. Together, we'll navigate this. No matter where it takes us, we'll always have each other." And so, hand in hand, we dove into the depths of our exploration, the descent a thrilling freefall into the unknown. The night unfolded in a tapestry of experiences, each more enlightening than the last. Conversations flowed, barriers were broken, and the foundation of our relationship was tested and fortified in the crucible of our adventure. As dawn approached, Hannah and I made our way home, the events of the night a whirlwind of emotion and discovery. We were different now, changed in ways we were only beginning to understand. The path ahead was fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but one thing was clear: we were on this journey together, for better or worse. The descent into the unknown had begun, and there was no turning back. The journey promised to be arduous, but with Hannah by my side, I felt a newfound strength to face whatever lay ahead. The sun rose, casting a soft, golden glow over the city as Hannah and I navigated the early morning streets in silence. The echoes of last night's revelation still hung heavily between us, a mixture of excitement and trepidation clouding our thoughts. "Jason, talk to me. What's going through your mind?" Hannah's voice broke the silence, her concern evident. I sighed, searching for the right words. "I'm not sure, Hannah. Last night was overwhelming. I never imagined we'd find ourselves in this place." She nodded, understanding painting her features. "It's a lot to take in, I know. But we're doing this together, remember? We can stop any time you want." Her reassurance was a balm to my swirling thoughts. Yet, as we ventured deeper into this new lifestyle, the once solid foundation of our relationship began to show the first signs of strain. As weeks turned into months, our explorations took us further from the comfort of our shared experiences into territories fraught with uncertainty and jealousy. Conversations that once flowed easily now stumbled over doubts and insecurities. Hannah, are we losing ourselves in this? I found myself asking one evening, the weight of my fears finally spilling over. She paused, her fork midway to her mouth, and put it down gently. Is that how you feel, Jason? That we're losing ourselves? I nodded, the admission heavy on my tongue. Sometimes, yes. It's like we're chasing something, but I'm not sure what it is anymore. Hannah reached across the table, her hand finding mine. I thought this would bring us closer, open up new dimensions for us. I didn't anticipate how hard it could be. The honesty of our conversation laid bare the cracks that had begun to form in the bedrock of our relationship. The excitement and thrill of discovery were now shadowed by a creeping sense of disconnection. The turning point came unexpectedly one Friday night. We had been invited to an exclusive party, a gathering of like-minded individuals where the lines of conventional relationships blurred into insignificance. As we mingled among the guests, the vibrancy and energy of the room a stark contrast to the turmoil within me, I watched Hannah from across the room. She laughed, her eyes alight with a fervor I hadn't seen in some time, and my heart sank. Enjoying yourself? Mark's voice pulled me from my thoughts. I forced a smile, watching Hannah engage with others. Yeah, it's quite the party. Mark followed my gaze, nodding in understanding. It's different for everyone, Jason. The key is communication. Always. His words echoed in my mind as the night wore on. Hannah and I found ourselves in the company of a couple who were veterans of this lifestyle. Their ease and confidence were intoxicating, and for a moment, I allowed myself to be swept up in the fantasy. But as the night unfolded, the reality of our situation came crashing down. Watching Hannah with someone else, a line was crossed, one I hadn't even known existed until that moment. The ride home was shrouded in a tense silence, a chasm of unspoken words and shattered illusions between us. Hannah, That was too much for me, I finally confessed, the weight of my discomfort a tangible presence in the car. She didn't respond immediately, and when she did, her voice was small, vulnerable. I didn't realize, Jason. I got caught up in the moment. I'm sorry. The apology hung between us, a testament to the complexities we now faced. The cracks in our relationship had widened into gaping fissures, the uncertain ground threatening to swallow us whole. As we lay in bed that night, the distance between us a stark reminder of the journey we'd embarked on. I couldn't help but wonder where we went from here. The excitement of exploration had given way to a maze of emotional entanglements, the exit seemingly just out of reach. Hannah, where do we go from here? My voice was a whisper in the darkness, a plea for guidance in the chaos. Her reply was a sigh, heavy with the weight of unanswered questions. I don't know, Jason. I just don't know. The cracks had widened, leaving us on the brink of an abyss. The path forward was unclear, each step fraught with uncertainty. But one thing was certain, the journey had changed us, and there was no turning back. The challenge now was to find a way through the maze, to rediscover the connection that had brought us together in the first place, before it was too late. The chill of the early morning air seemed to mirror the growing coldness between Hannah and me. Our journey into the unknown had led us down a path neither of us could have predicted. The excitement that once fueled our explorations had dwindled, leaving a void filled with silence and unasked questions. It was during these turbulent times that I met Ella. Her arrival was like a beacon in the fog, illuminating a path I hadn't realized I was searching for. She was a colleague from work, introduced during a project that required our collaboration. From the outset, there was an undeniable connection, a spark that ignited conversations filled with depth and understanding. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Ella and I found ourselves the last to leave the office. The building was quiet, a stark contrast to the storm of thoughts raging in my mind. Jason, are you okay? You've seemed off lately. Ella's voice broke the silence, her concern genuine. I hesitated, the truth on the tip of my tongue. Sharing the chaos of my personal life felt like a betrayal to Hannah, yet the weight of it all was becoming unbearable. It's complicated, Ella. Hannah and I. We're going through some things, I admitted, the words feeling like a confession. Ella listened intently, her eyes never leaving mine. Relationships are complex, Jason. Sometimes, stepping back gives you the perspective you need. Her words were a comfort, a simple acknowledgement of my struggles. We continued to talk, the conversation meandering through topics of love, life, and the pursuit of happiness. It was the most connected I had felt to anyone in months. As days turned into weeks, my friendship with Ella deepened. Our coffee breaks became a sanctuary, a time to share and to be heard. With each conversation, the sense of peace I found in her presence grew. starkly contrasting the turmoil waiting for me at home. Hannah, we need to talk. I found myself saying one evening, the decision to confront our issues head-on fueled by the clarity I found in my friendship with Ella. Hannah looked up, surprise evident on her face. About us. This experiment of ours. I'm not sure it's what I want anymore, I confessed, the words tasting like freedom and fear all at once. The conversation that followed was raw and revealing. Hannah shared her own doubts and fears, her voice breaking with the admission that she too felt lost in the labyrinth we had wandered into. Jason, I love you. I thought this journey would bring us closer, but I can't help feeling like we've drifted apart, Hannah said, tears glistening in her eyes. The vulnerability in her words struck a chord within me. The realization that our explorations had led us away from each other was a painful truth to confront. It's not too late for us, Hannah. We can find our way back, I offered, hope mingling with uncertainty. But as the days passed, the distance between us seemed to grow. Conversations with Ella became my refuge, a place where I could be myself without the weight of expectation or the shadow of disappointment. Ella, I think I have feelings for you, I confessed one afternoon, the admission hanging between us like a delicate thread. Ella's response was measured, her eyes searching mine. Jason, you're in a vulnerable place. I care about you, but we need to be careful. I don't want to be the reason for more pain. Her words were a gentle rebuke, a reminder of the complexities entangled in my heart. Yet, they also underscored the profound connection we shared, a bond that seemed to transcend the chaos of my current circumstances. As I navigated the tumultuous waters of my failing marriage and the burgeoning feelings for Ella, I found myself at a crossroads. The turning point was not marked by grand gestures or dramatic confrontations, but by quiet realizations and the courage to face the truths I had long ignored. The path forward was uncertain, each step fraught with potential for pain and healing. But for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope, a sense that perhaps, in the midst of the storm, I had found a direction that could lead me toward peace and authenticity. The journey was far from over, and the road ahead promised its share of challenges. Yet, in the quiet moments with Ella and the honest conversations with Hannah, I found the strength to keep moving forward, to navigate the complexities of love and loss, and to embrace the possibility of a future defined not by the past, but by the choices we make in the present. The air was thick with tension as I sat across from Hannah in our living room, the setting sun casting long shadows across the floor. The silence between us was deafening, a stark reminder of the chasm that had grown between us. The time had come for a confrontation, a reckoning of the heart and soul. Hannah, we can't keep avoiding this conversation, I started, my voice steady despite the turmoil churning inside me. She looked up, her eyes weary yet resolute. I know, Jason. I felt it too. The distance. It's like we're strangers living under the same roof. The honesty in her voice pierced through the last defenses around my heart. It's not just the distance, Hannah. It's everything. The choices we've made, the paths we've taken. I'm not sure I recognize us anymore. Hannah nodded, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. I miss us, Jason. I miss who we used to be before all of this. The raw emotion in her words echoed my own sentiments. The journey we had embarked on together had led us to uncharted territories, far from the safety of the love we once knew. It's Ella, I confessed, the name hanging in the air like a betrayal. I've developed feelings for her. It's not something I planned or wanted, but it's the truth. Hannah's reaction was a mixture of pain and understanding. I suspected as much. The late nights, the whispered phone calls. I guess I was just hoping it wasn't true. The pain in her voice was a knife to my heart. It's not just about Ella, Hannah. It's about us, about me. I've been lost, trying to find something that maybe never existed. I thought I could find it in our explorations, but I was wrong. Hannah leaned forward, her hands clasped tightly together. So where does this leave us, Jason? What do you want? Her question hung between us, heavy with the weight of decisions yet to be made. I don't know, Hannah. I'm torn. Part of me wants to fight for us, for what we had. But another part wonders if it's too late, if we've drifted too far apart. The honesty of our conversation was a balm to the wounds we had inflicted upon each other, yet the path forward remained shrouded in uncertainty. Hannah, can we ever go back? Can we find our way back to each other? My voice was barely above a whisper, a plea for hope amidst the wreckage. She met my gaze, her eyes shining with tears. I don't know, Jason, but maybe it's not about going back. Maybe it's about building something new, something different. Whether that's together or apart, I just want us both to be happy. The courage in her words ignited a spark within me, a realization that regardless of the outcome, we owed it to ourselves and to each other to face the truth of our hearts. The confrontation had laid bare the depths of our love and the pain of our choices. As we talked long into the night, exploring the fissures and fractures of our relationship, a fragile understanding began to emerge. The journey ahead would require courage, honesty, and perhaps most of all, forgiveness. As dawn broke, casting a soft light into the room, Hannah and I sat in silence, the turmoil of the night giving way to a quiet resolve. The road ahead was uncertain, fraught with the potential for more pain and heartache. Yet, in the crucible of our confrontation, we had found a glimmer of hope, a chance for redemption and renewal. The story of us was far from over, and the next chapter remained unwritten. But for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of peace, a belief that no matter where the path led, we would find our way through the darkness, guided by the light of our shared history and the love that, despite everything, still lingered in the spaces between us. The air was charged with a palpable tension as Hannah and I faced each other, the remnants of our once unbreakable bond hanging precariously in the balance. The room was silent, save for the soft ticking of the clock on the wall, marking the passage of time and the urgency of our situation. "Jason, we've been through so much," Hannah began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about everything we've faced together." I nodded, my heart heavy with the weight of our shared history and the uncertainty of our future. "I know, Hannah. I've been thinking too. It feels like we're at a crossroads, and whatever decision we make now, it's going to define us." Hannah took a deep breath, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "I love you, Jason. That's never changed. But I can't help feeling like maybe our paths are diverging. Maybe it's time for us to consider letting go." Her words struck me with the force of a physical blow. The possibility of a future without Hannah, without the woman who had been my partner, my confidant, my best friend, was almost too much to bear. "But Hannah, isn't there a way to fix this? To rebuild what we've lost?" My voice was a mix of desperation and hope, clinging to the idea that love could overcome even the deepest of rifts. Hannah's eyes met mine, a mixture of sadness and resolve reflected in her gaze. "I wish it were that simple, Jason, but we've both changed. We've grown in ways we never anticipated. Holding on might just end up hurting us more in the long run." The finality in her tone left no room for doubt. This was the moment of truth, the point of no return. The realization that our journey together was coming to an end was both a relief and a source of profound grief. "What about us, Hannah? The memories, the love, the life we've built together?" I asked, not ready to let go, to say goodbye to the dreams we had once shared. Hannah reached out, taking my hand in hers, a gesture of comfort and solidarity. "They'll always be a part of us, Jason. Nothing can take that away. But maybe it's time for us to start new chapters, to find happiness in ways we never expected." The sincerity in her words was undeniable, a bittersweet acknowledgement of the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. As we talked, pouring out our hearts and souls, a sense of clarity began to emerge from the chaos of our emotions. The decision to part ways was not made lightly, but with a deep understanding of the love and respect we held for each other. It was a resolution born from the realization that sometimes love means letting go, allowing each other the space to grow and find happiness anew. As the sun rose, casting a soft light into the room and heralding the dawn of a new day, Hannah and I stood together one last time, united in our decision to forge separate paths. The promise of the future was uncertain, filled with both challenges and opportunities for growth and discovery. The resolution of our story was not an end, but a beginning, a chance to embrace the lessons we had learned, to carry the love and memories with us as we stepped into the unknown. The journey ahead would be one of self-discovery, of healing and finding new love in the places we least expected. As I watched Hannah walk away, a chapter of my life closing behind her, I felt a surge of gratitude for the time we had shared, for the love that had transformed us both. The story of us would always be a part of who I was, a foundation upon which I would build my future. The resolution was not an end, but a new beginning, a testament to the enduring power of love and the courage to seek happiness, even in the face of the most daunting challenges. The path ahead was mine to choose, a journey of renewal and hope, guided by the lessons of the past and the promise of tomorrow. And so, with a heart full of memories and eyes open to the possibilities of the future, I stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, knowing that in letting go, I was opening the door to new adventures, new loves, and the chance to find myself again in the vast tapestry of life.